Buddhism originated in ancient India. It is, a path of spiritual development. The teachings focus on achieving enlightenment. Enlightenment is the state of liberation from suffering. This liberation is also called nirvana. At the heart of Buddhism are the Four Noble Truths. These truths are the foundation of Buddhist teachings. The first truth recognizes suffering as an inherent part of life. We experience suffering in various forms. These forms include physical and emotional pain. The second truth identifies the cause of suffering. This cause is attachment and craving. We crave things that are impermanent. This leads to dissatisfaction. The third truth points to the possibility of ending suffering. By eliminating attachment, we can achieve liberation. This liberation frees us from the cycle of suffering. The fourth truth outlines the path to the cessation of suffering. This path is the Eightfold Path. It is a practical guide to ethical and mental development. This path leads to enlightenment and the end of suffering. The Eightfold Path is not a linear progression of steps. It's like an interconnected set of principles. These principles are meant to be practiced simultaneously. They support and reinforce each other. The path encompasses various aspects of life. These include wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. The first two elements of the Eightfold Path cultivate wisdom. Right view is about understanding the Four Noble Truths. Right thought involves developing wholesome thoughts. These thoughts are rooted in compassion and non-attachment. The next three elements focus on ethical conduct. Right speech emphasizes truthful, kind, and compassionate communication. Right action involves acting in ways that are morally upright. Right livelihood encourages earning a living in a way that doesn't harm others. The final three elements cultivate mental discipline. Right effort involves cultivating wholesome quality. It also involves abandoning unwholesome qualities. Right mindfulness emphasizes paying attention to the present moment. This is done without judgment. Right concentration involves developing focused attention. This is achieved through meditation. Right view is the beginning of the Eightfold Path. It is the foundation upon which the other 7 steps are built. This understanding is not merely intellectual, it is a deep, experiential realization. The Four Noble Truths are not meant to be pessimistic or depressing. They are a call to awakening. The first noble truth is the truth of suffering, or dukkha. Life, as we experience it, is filled with suffering. This suffering takes many forms. It includes physical pain, sickness, and old age. It also includes mental and emotional suffering. This includes anxiety, fear, grief, and disappointment. The second noble truth is the truth of the cause of suffering. This cause is often translated as craving or attachment. We crave pleasurable experiences. We cling to things and people. This clinging creates suffering. When these things change or disappear, we suffer. The third noble truth is the truth of the cessation of suffering. This truth states that suffering can be overcome. By eliminating craving and attachment, we can achieve liberation from suffering. This liberation is called nirvana. Nirvana is not a place we go to after death. It is a state of being free from suffering. The fourth noble truth is the truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. This path is the Eightfold Path itself. By following this path, we can gradually eliminate craving and attachment. This leads to the end of suffering. Right view goes beyond understanding the Four Noble Truths. It also involves seeing reality clearly. This includes understanding the impermanence of all things. Everything that arises will eventually cease. This includes our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. It also includes our physical bodies. Right view also involves understanding the concept of non-self, or anatta. We tend to cling to a sense of self. We believe that we are independent and separate entities. However, Buddhism teaches that this sense of self is an illusion. It is a collection of constantly changing physical and mental processes. There is no permanent, unchanging self. This understanding of impermanence and non-self is not meant to be depressing. It is meant to be liberating. When we realize that everything is impermanent, we can let go of our attachments. We can appreciate the present moment more fully. We can live with greater peace and equanimity. Right view also involves understanding the law of karma. karma is often misunderstood as a system of punishment and reward. However, it is more accurately understood as a natural law of cause and effect. Every action we take, whether physical, verbal, or mental, has consequences. These consequences shape our future experiences. Cultivating right view is an ongoing process. It requires consistent effort and reflection. We can begin by studying the teachings of Buddhism. This can include reading books, listening to talks, or attending meditation retreats. We can also engage in discussions with others who are also interested in Buddhism. Meditation is an essential practice for cultivating right view. Through meditation, we can develop greater awareness of our thoughts, emotions, and sensations. We can begin to see the impermanent and interconnected nature of all things. We can also develop greater compassion and wisdom. In our daily lives, we can practice right view by paying attention to our thoughts and actions. Are our thoughts rooted in greed, hatred, or delusion? Are our actions causing harm to ourselves or others? By becoming more aware of our thoughts and actions, we can begin to make wiser choices. This leads to greater peace and happiness. Remember that developing right view is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself and keep practicing. Over time, you will begin to see the world with greater clarity and wisdom. Right thought follows right view in the Eightfold Path. It emphasizes the cultivation of positive and wholesome thoughts. Our thoughts have immense power. They shape our perceptions, emotions, and actions. Negative thoughts such as greed, hatred, and delusion lead to suffering. They create a cycle of negativity that is difficult to break free from. Right thought involves recognizing these harmful thought patterns. We can then work on transforming them into positive and beneficial ones. This transformation is not about denying or suppressing negative thoughts. It's about cultivating an awareness of them. We can then choose to replace them with thoughts rooted in kindness, compassion, and wisdom. Compassion is a key element of right thought. It involves recognizing the suffering of others. It also involves cultivating a genuine desire to alleviate that suffering. When we practice compassion, we extend our hearts to all beings. This includes those we find difficult to love. Kindness is another important aspect of right thought. It involves acting with warmth, generosity, and consideration towards others. Small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect. They create a more positive and harmonious environment for everyone. Cultivating right thought is an ongoing practice. It requires mindfulness and effort. We can start by paying attention to our thoughts throughout the day. What kinds of thoughts arise most frequently? Are they rooted in negativity, judgment, or self-criticism? Or are they characterized by kindness, compassion, and understanding? Once we become aware of our thought patterns, we can begin to make conscious choices. We can choose to replace negative thoughts with positive ones. For example, instead of dwelling on a past mistake, we can choose to focus on learning from it. Instead of harboring resentment towards someone, we can choose to cultivate forgiveness. Meditation is a powerful tool for cultivating right thought. Through meditation, we can train our minds to become calmer, clearer, and more focused. We can develop greater awareness of our thoughts and emotions. This allows us to choose our thoughts more skillfully. We can also cultivate right thought by surrounding ourselves with positive influences. This can include spending time with kind and compassionate people. It can also include reading uplifting books, listening to inspiring talks, or engaging in activities that bring us joy. By filling our minds with positive influences, we create a more fertile ground for wholesome thoughts to grow. Right speech is the third element of the Eightfold Path. It emphasizes the importance of using our words skillfully and compassionately. Our words have tremendous power. They can uplift and inspire, or they can wound and destroy. When we speak carelessly, we create negativity. This negativity affects ourselves and others. Right speech involves becoming more mindful of our speech. We must be aware of the impact our words have on others. It also involves cultivating an intention to speak in a way that is truthful, kind, and beneficial. This requires effort. We have ingrained habits of negative speech. We often speak without thinking. We might gossip, complain, or criticize without considering the consequences. These negative speech patterns can create disharmony in our relationships. They can also damage our own sense of peace and well-being. Right speech invites us to break free from these patterns. The Buddha taught that our speech should always be guided by the principle of non-harming, or ahimsa. This means that we should strive to avoid speaking in ways that could cause harm to ourselves or others. This includes physical, emotional, and psychological harm. It also includes avoiding speech that could incite hatred, division, or violence. Right speech encompasses four main principles: abstaining from false speech, abstaining from divisive speech, abstaining from harsh speech, and abstaining from idle chatter. These principles are interconnected and work together to create a more harmonious and compassionate way of communicating. Abstaining from false speech means speaking truthfully and honestly. It involves avoiding lying, deceiving, or exaggerating. This doesn't mean that we need to be brutally honest all the time. There are times when it's appropriate to be tactful or diplomatic. However, we should always strive to speak in a way that is aligned with the truth. Abstaining from divisive speech means avoiding speech that creates disharmony or conflict between people. This includes gossiping, spreading rumors, or speaking ill of others behind their backs. It also includes using inflammatory language that is likely to provoke anger or resentment. Abstaining from harsh speech means avoiding speech that is rude, abusive, or hurtful. This includes yelling, name-calling, and using sarcasm to put others down. Harsh speech creates a negative and unpleasant atmosphere. It can damage relationships and erode trust. Abstaining from idle chatter means avoiding speech that is unnecessary, pointless, or unproductive. This includes engaging in excessive small talk, gossiping about celebrities, or complaining about trivial matters. While some light-hearted conversation can be enjoyable, too much idle chatter can be a distraction. It can prevent us from engaging in more meaningful conversations and activities. Cultivating right speech is an ongoing practice that requires mindfulness and effort. We can start by paying closer attention to our speech patterns. What kinds of things do we tend to talk about? Are our conversations dominated by gossip, negativity, or complaining, or do we strive to speak in a way that's kind, uplifting, and beneficial? We can also practice right speech by becoming more conscious of our intentions before we speak. Why are we saying this? Is it to impress others, to get something we want, or to make someone feel bad? Or are we speaking from a place of kindness, compassion, and a genuine desire to connect with others? When we notice ourselves engaging in negative speech patterns, we can gently redirect our minds. For example, if we find ourselves gossiping about someone, we can choose to change the subject. We can focus on something more positive. Instead of complaining about a problem, we can brainstorm solutions. Remember that cultivating right speech is not about becoming perfect. It's about progress, not perfection. We will all make mistakes. The key is to learn from our mistakes and keep practicing. Over time, we can transform our speech patterns. We create a more positive and harmonious environment for ourselves and others. Living ethically. Right action is the fourth element of the Eightfold Path. It focuses on ethical conduct and living in a way that aligns with our values. Our actions have consequences. They impact ourselves and the world around us. Right action emphasizes making conscious choices. These choices should lead to greater harmony, well-being, and spiritual growth. Right action is not about following a set of rigid rules. It's about cultivating a deep understanding of ethical principles. We can then apply these principles to our daily lives. Buddhist teachings offer guidelines for ethical conduct. These guidelines provide a framework for making skillful choices. One of the most important aspects of right action is cultivating non-harming, or ahimsa. This principle extends to all living beings, including ourselves. It involves recognizing the interconnectedness of all life. Our actions have ripple effects. They can either contribute to suffering or alleviate it. Right action also involves cultivating positive qualities such as kindness, compassion, generosity, and honesty. When we act from these qualities, we create positive karma. This leads to greater happiness and well-being for ourselves and others. The 5 precepts are a set of ethical guidelines that are central to Buddhist practice. They are not commandments, but rather training rules that help us to live more skillfully and ethically. The 5 precepts are abstaining from killing, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from sexual misconduct, abstaining from false speech, and abstaining from intoxicants. The first precept, abstaining from killing, emphasizes the sanctity of life. It encourages us to cultivate compassion and respect for all living beings. This precept is often extended to include avoiding harming any living creature. This includes animals. The second precept, abstaining from stealing, encourages us to live honestly and ethically. It involves respecting the property of others and earning a living in a way that does not involve taking what is not freely given. The third precept, abstaining from sexual misconduct, encourages us to cultivate healthy and respectful relationships. It involves engaging in sexual activity that is consensual, responsible, and does not cause harm to ourselves or others. The fourth precept, abstaining from false speech, has already been discussed in detail in the section on right speech. The fifth precept, abstaining from intoxicants, encourages us to cultivate clarity of mind and avoid substances that cloud our judgment and lead to unskillful actions. This includes alcohol, drugs, and other substances that can be addictive or harmful. Cultivating right action is an ongoing practice that involves paying attention to our actions and their consequences. It also involves reflecting on our motivations and intentions. Are our actions motivated by greed, hatred, or delusion? Or are they rooted in kindness, compassion, and wisdom? We can begin by becoming more aware of the choices we make on a daily basis. What do we choose to eat? How do we spend our money? How do we treat our loved ones, strangers, and even ourselves? Every action, no matter how small, has ethical implications. We can also practice right action by making conscious efforts to align our actions with our values. If we value compassion, we can strive to be more kind and understanding in our interactions with others. If we value honesty, we can make a commitment to speaking truthfully and acting with integrity. Remember that cultivating right action is not about becoming perfect. We will all make mistakes. The key is to learn from our mistakes and keep practicing. Over time, we can transform our habits and live in a way that is more aligned with our deepest values. This leads to greater peace, happiness, and fulfillment in our lives. Right livelihood is the fifth element of the Eightfold Path. It focuses on engaging in work that is morally upright. It emphasizes earning a living in a way that does not cause harm to ourselves or others. This principle recognizes the interconnectedness of all things. Our actions, including our work, have consequences. In the past, certain professions were considered harmful. These included selling weapons, selling living beings, and dealing in intoxicants. Today, we must consider the ethical implications of our work. Does our work contribute to the well-being of others? Does it exploit people or the environment? Right livelihood encourages us to find work that aligns with our values. It asks us to use our skills and talents to benefit society. This might mean choosing a career path that directly helps others. This could be working in healthcare, education, or social work. It could also mean finding ways to make our current work more ethical and sustainable. This could involve advocating for fair labor practices within our company. It could mean reducing our environmental impact. Choosing a right livelihood is not always easy. It may require making sacrifices. We might need to prioritize ethical considerations over financial gain. However, when we engage in work that is aligned with our values, we experience a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Right livelihood is not just about our occupation, it's also about our relationship to work. We can bring the principles of right livelihood into any job. We can do this by being honest, hardworking, and treating our colleagues with respect. We can approach our work with mindfulness and compassion. This means paying attention to the impact our work has on others. It also means striving to create a positive and supportive work environment. Ultimately, right livelihood is about finding a way to make a living that contributes to the well-being of ourselves and others. It's about using our skills and talents to create a more just and compassionate world. Right effort, the sixth element of the Eightfold Path, is the energy and commitment we apply to our practice. It is the driving force that propels us forward on the path to liberation. This effort is not about straining or forcing ourselves. It's about cultivating a gentle but persistent determination to cultivate wholesome qualities. These wholesome qualities include mindfulness, concentration, kindness, compassion, and wisdom. Right effort involves nurturing these qualities within ourselves. We can do this through consistent practice and by creating supportive conditions for their growth. It's like tending a garden. We need to plant the seeds of wholesome qualities, water them with effort, and remove the weeds of negativity. Right effort is not a one-time endeavor. It is a continuous process of recognizing when our minds have strayed from wholesome qualities. We must then gently guide them back. This requires self-awareness. We must be able to observe our thoughts, emotions, and actions without judgment. Cultivating wholesome qualities requires patience and perseverance. There will be times when we feel discouraged or frustrated. We may question our ability to change. However, it's important to remember that even small efforts made consistently over time can lead to significant progress. Right effort is not only about cultivating the positive, it's also about overcoming the negative. This involves recognizing and abandoning unwholesome qualities that hinder our progress on the path. These hindrances include greed, hatred, delusion, restlessness, doubt, and sloth and torpor. Greed manifests as a strong desire for sensory pleasures, possessions, or power. Hatred arises from aversion and manifests as anger, resentment, or ill will. Delusion refers to a lack of clarity and understanding of reality. It can manifest as ignorance, denial, or clinging to false views. Restlessness is a state of mental agitation and unease, while doubt can manifest as uncertainty, skepticism, or lack of confidence in the path. Sloth and torpor refer to mental dullness, laziness, and a lack of motivation to practice. Right effort involves recognizing these hindrances as they arise in our minds. We can then use various techniques to weaken and eventually eradicate them. These techniques include mindfulness, concentration, cultivating opposing qualities, and seeking guidance from wise teachers. For example, if we find ourselves consumed by anger, we can practice loving kindness meditation to cultivate compassion and forgiveness. Right mindfulness, the seventh stage of the Eightfold Path, is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It is about becoming aware of our thoughts, feelings, sensations, and surroundings with a gentle and accepting attitude. In a world filled with distractions, our minds are often lost in thought. We dwell on the past or worry about the future, missing the richness and immediacy of the present experience. Right mindfulness invites us to step out of this cycle of mental rumination and to become fully present. It is not about emptying our minds of thoughts, but rather about observing them without getting carried away by them. Imagine your mind as the sky and your thoughts as clouds passing through. With right mindfulness, we become like a serene sky watcher, observing the clouds without judgment or attachment. When we practice right mindfulness, we begin to notice the impermanent nature of everything. Thoughts arise and pass away, feelings come and go, sensations appear and disappear. This realization can be liberating. It helps us to detach from our thoughts and emotions. We begin to see them as transient phenomena rather than as defining aspects of ourselves. Right mindfulness also cultivates a deep sense of self-awareness. We become more attuned to our physical sensations, our emotional responses, and the patterns of our thinking. This awareness allows us to make wiser choices. We can break free from habitual patterns of behavior that no longer serve us. While meditation is an excellent way to cultivate right mindfulness, it is not limited to formal practice. We can integrate mindfulness into every aspect of our daily lives. The key is to bring a gentle, non-judgmental awareness to whatever we are doing. Start by bringing mindfulness to simple, everyday activities. Pay attention to the sensations of your body as you walk, stand, or sit. Notice the taste of your food as you eat, the feeling of the water on your skin as you shower, and the sound of your breath as you inhale and exhale. As you become more accustomed to paying attention to the present moment, you can start to bring mindfulness to more challenging situations. Notice how your mind and body react when you are feeling stressed, anxious, or angry. Observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment and gently redirect your attention to your breath or another point of focus. You can also practice right mindfulness by engaging in mindful communication. Pay attention to your words and how you're speaking to others. Are you speaking from a place of kindness and compassion, or are you reacting with anger or judgment? Mindful communication can help to improve your relationships and create a more harmonious environment. Remember that cultivating right mindfulness is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself and celebrate your progress along the way. As you continue to practice, you will find that right mindfulness brings a sense of peace, clarity, and joy to your life. Right concentration is the eighth and final element of the Eightfold Path. It builds upon the foundation of the previous 7 steps. Right concentration involves focusing the mind on a single object or thought. This focus is sustained and unwavering. This is not about forcing the mind, but cultivating a gentle yet firm attention. Meditation is the most common practice for developing right concentration. There are many different types of meditation. All involve training the mind to become more focused and less distracted. One common technique is to focus on the breath. We observe the natural rhythm of inhalation and exhalation. When the mind wanders, as it inevitably will, we gently guide it back to the object of meditation. This process of noticing distractions and redirecting the mind is at the heart of right concentration. It helps us develop greater control over our mental processes. Right concentration is not just about sitting meditation. It is a skill that we can cultivate in all aspects of our lives. We can practice focusing our attention while we are working, eating, or engaging in conversations. The more we practice, the easier it becomes to maintain focus and resist distractions. Developing right concentration brings numerous benefits. It leads to greater peace and tranquility. When the mind is focused, it is less likely to be caught up in worries, regrets, or anxieties. We experience a sense of calm and clarity that permeates our being. Right concentration also enhances our cognitive abilities. It improves our memory, attention span, and ability to learn. When the mind is free from distractions, it can more easily absorb and retain information. This enhanced focus can lead to greater productivity and creativity in our work and personal lives. Moreover, right concentration is essential for attaining deeper states of meditation. These deeper states lead to profound insights into the nature of reality and the self. Through right concentration, we can experience the transformative wisdom that lies at the heart of Buddhist teachings. Right concentration is not a goal to be achieved overnight. It is a practice that requires patience, dedication, and consistent effort. However, the rewards of right concentration are well worth the effort. It leads to greater peace, wisdom, and liberation from suffering. We've explored the profound wisdom of the Eightfold Path, a journey to inner peace and spiritual awakening. Each step, from right view to right concentration, offers practical guidance for living a more meaningful and fulfilling life. It is not a destination, but a continuous process of learning, growing, and transforming ourselves. The Eightfold Path is not a set of rigid rules, but a flexible framework that we can adapt to our own lives and circumstances. It is a path of self-discovery. Through this path, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. It is a path of compassion, urging us to extend kindness and understanding to ourselves and all beings. By cultivating right view, we develop a clear understanding of reality. This understanding is based on the 4 noble truths. Right thought encourages us to cultivate positive and wholesome thoughts. Right speech guides us to speak truthfully, kindly, and with awareness. Right action involves acting ethically and responsibly in all aspects of our lives. Right livelihood encourages us to find work that is meaningful. This work should be ethical and contributes to the well-being of others. Right effort reminds us to cultivate wholesome qualities. We must also diligently abandon unwholesome ones. Right mindfulness invites us to be fully present. We can then approach each moment with acceptance and non-judgment. Right concentration, the culmination of the path, enables us to focus our minds. We cultivate inner peace and wisdom. The Eightfold Path is a gift. It is an invitation to live a more awakened and compassionate life. It is a journey that requires effort, patience, and a willingness to learn and grow. As we integrate these teachings into our daily lives, we begin to experience the transformative power of the path. We find ourselves responding to challenges with greater equanimity. Our relationships become more harmonious. We develop a deeper sense of peace and well-being that arises from within. The Eightfold Path is not a passive pursuit, it is an active engagement with life. It is a call to awaken to our full potential as human beings. It is a call to live with greater awareness, purpose, and compassion. We encourage you to explore the teachings of the Eightfold Path further. Experiment with different practices. Find what resonates with you. Remember that every step you take on this path is a step towards greater peace, wisdom, and liberation. The journey may be long, but the rewards are immeasurable. Start where you are. Take one step at a time. Embrace the journey and trust that the path will unfold before you.